Yeah, there's so much, like, it's so cool to actually like hear that story, but to see the process.
Yeah.
'Cause I think sometimes we always like you see younger people or people in charge of bigger churches, and you don't always hear the process. And I always think about like the story of Joseph too.
Yeah.
Like it's from 12 years of like the word kind of being spoken over you, like to take.
Yeah.
This is where we're gonna go. Like 12 years is a long process, and a lot of things that you had to do and grow and build to be before like taking over the entire ministry, which I think is just cool. And I think we want to fast forward through a lot of that to say like, well, who's this guy leading this big church? And it's like, oh, there's been a long process to get.
No, I can go down that tangent, but I mean, let me just say this, that story of generational handoff is not normal.
I would agree.
And the reason why it's not normal, two main reasons. One, the old guy does not want to let go, and he hangs on too long, and there are no young people left by the time he actually has to retire.
Right.
That's one problem. Second problem, young guys
They don't want
cooperate with the process. They don't want the process.
Yeah.
And normally what you see is a guy who was like my age, who was, maybe like mid-20s, late 20s, who's like, I'm going to go start my own thing.
Right.
Because I don't want to stick around in this old church with this old guy, with all these old people doing things the old way.
Right.
And I've got this spark, and I've got this vision, and I've got this passion. Like, I want to go start something that's radical or progressive or new, or, the next iteration. And that is really good, because God intentionally does give vision for the future to young people, right? Like, that's a way that he works. And so the new iteration is going to come from the young people. And so for the young people to have that burning passion of like, what is the next iteration? They're supposed to have that, but I've seen that happen so many times. And you know what? I don't know that overall that the churches or the church in general is actually healthier or stronger because of that. Right. Because the truth is the young guys still need the old guys. Oh. And the old guys need the young guys. And churches are healthier when you've got the generational like layers to it. And you know what happens to the old church? It dies.
Right.
It fades into oblivion after a long, slow death.
Right.
And you know what? The same exact cycle gets repeated for the young guy. Just fast forward 50 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that like passion and spark and stuff that you had as a late 20-year-old, like Lee played into that by releasing you for like IUP and for City Campus and was like, okay, like go do this, go do your thing.
If he hadn't given me space to like go do what I felt like God wanted me to do, I don't think I could have stayed. Just because there was this vision and this burning in my heart, like I got to go do stuff. And if he hadn't said, here's what I'm, like Lee's saying, like, here's my vision for the ministry, and we are going to stay like focused on that. Like, we're not going to go off some weird tangent, but within that vision, you can have this opportunity to do what's in your heart.
Right.
Like go up to the college and start a college ministry, because I'm going to let you run college ministry. And as long as it's in accordance with like our visionary principles or like our overall beliefs, like as long as it's not like some weird thing, like you can do what you want with college ministry. And so he released me to do that. And then a few years later, I asked if he would release me to do that, to start the City Campus. And honestly, there were a couple times. I would say one when we first started the City Campus, and then again, maybe a year before the handoff, where there were two times very, very serious conversations about whether or not I needed to leave and do my own thing, and the City Campus can be my own thing. And that was serious conversations twice that were, a number of years apart. And I just had this conviction that we're better if we stay. And Lee knew that we were better if we stayed. But there had to be some real figuring this out, because I'm not him and he's not me. And does this fit? And can this work? And why are you doing things that way? And I'm like, why are you doing things that way? And can this, and there was two times that was the second time way more serious than the first time, but there was a real opportunity to be like, this might not work. But we were committed to making it work. And we both had to swallow some pride. We both had to lay down some dreams. We both had to have a heart to serve the other person. That wasn't easy.
Yeah.
But the church as a whole is a lot healthier and stronger because of that. Because our city campus is thriving. We've got this phenomenal building, you know, all of this great stuff. But that place could not exist on that scale if it hadn't had the support of the original place.
100%.
And so that's just the reality. Like, we're stronger together,
Yeah.
you know? So.
And sometimes that's it's easy, I think, when you're met with two people with dreams and visions and like and then if there's some sort of like opposition or conflict, it's so easy. The default is just, well, we'll break off and I'll just follow my dream, my vision for it.
Right.
And I wonder how often, just as churches, but in our own lives, and like where it's like stopping to slow down, it takes a level of discernment, a level of humility, and having that conversation and getting that part was like actually like us supporting one another, us being together, like we're better together. And I just don't think I think that's a differentiator in what you and Pastor Lee did. And I think the fruit of that will obviously will be like for generations, but it's just it's not an easy decision. I can't imagine it was easier for either of you.
No, I mean, there was a few years where it was really hard. Like everything was really hard. But I believe that I learned this when I was at Bible college back in Sydney. But you know, Psalm 92 talks about those who are planted in the house of the Lord will flourish. And I really believe in faithfulness and consistency. And if you uproot a tree and replant it somewhere else, it does not have the same longevity as if it stays planted. It doesn't have the same fruitfulness. It doesn't have the same impact. But when it remains planted for a very long period of time, it becomes so fruitful and so big. And I just believe that that's God's way.